Hi everyone, I'm Lisa and welcome to Lisa's Stamp Studio. Today's card is using a brand new stamp set from the annual catalog to create a beautiful, colorful border. There will be cutting dimensions for today's card along with a supply list over on my blog, and make sure you also check on my online classes tab. You'll find project PDF tutorials and a way for you to stamp with me from home with studio stamps in the mail. Here's the card we're going to be creating today. Really pretty, and you're not going to believe how easy. The secret is watercolor paper. Let's get over to the stamp table and let's get started. I think now you can appreciate those really bold and vibrant colors. Isn't this simply beautiful and simple? We're going to start with a piece of Whisper white cardstock. You're going to find all the cutting dimensions for today's project over on my blog. Whenever I've cut my paper to this length, I prefer actually to score it versus creasing it because I do find I get a little bit of cracking here on the seam. So I've got my paper trimmer and I'm going to line this up at 5.5 inches because that is actually the halfway point. The light blade here is for scoring and the trimmer does come with the dark blade, which is for cutting. I'm just sliding that to the bottom so it's out of the way, lining it up right against that nice straight bar, and I'm just going to score over it, and that's going to give us our nice score line. Even though I've scored it, I am a big fan of my bone folder for that crisp crease. So I'm going to go over that line here, and we've got the base of our card. I'm going to bring in a piece of watercolor paper, and this is where I'm actually going to do all of my stamping. I'm going to use the basic black archival ink, and I'm going to choose two flowers. I'm going to use this one, and they are from the brand new stamp set from the annual catalog called Oh So Eclectic. You're going to find that it has dies as they're coordinating and lots of fun. Wait till you see those, as well as designer paper and ribbons that all match that series and suite of products. You're going to really enjoy this. So I'm going to use the outside images just today. So I'm going to start with my basic black pad. And because this pad is firm, I like to tap and I like to give it a twist. I want to make sure that I get really good coverage. So I'm going to stamp one down here, lots of firm, even pressure. The surface of watercolor paper is a little bit more bumpy than what you're used to on the Whisper white cardstock. So I'm going to set that off to the side, and I'm switching images. So again, I'm stamping and twisting, and I'm going to stamp this one here near the bottom, and good press because I want to make sure I get a really good impression. Switch back to my flower now, and I'm just filling in the border of my card. So I'm going to come down here. I'm going to turn this slightly so I have a little bit different look than the original image and direction here. And that gives me this one. See, I told you it was easy. And then I'm going to squeeze one more in just because I can. I want to have a little something cascading up the side. So lots of firm, even pressure here. All right, so now I've got my flowers. Really important with the basic black archival ink that you give it a few minutes to dry. The one thing about this archival ink, because of the archival quality, is it takes a little bit longer to dry. And ask me how I know this. I tried this technique before it dried all the way and I had a big smeary mess. If you have a heat tool, you can use it on the lowest setting and then just speed up that process. But literally just take about a minute. I shouldn't have closed this. I'm going to go ahead and grab my greeting. I'm using the Thanks Kindly, and that is from the stamp set One Big Meeting. It was carried over from last year's catalog, and I really love the script in here, and I really like the sentiment. So I'm going to ink that up as well, giving that slight twist. And I'm going to put my greeting way down here at the bottom. Lots of firm, even pressure, and then a lift. Whenever I'm stamping on watercolor paper, I try really hard to take my time so I get a really good deep impression of my image. I'm using an aqua painter to apply the color, and I'm using several color ink pads. I've got Tempting Turquoise, Melon Mambo, the brand new in color Lemon Lime Twist. I swore I was going to hate this, and I'm in love with it. And the Tangerine Tango. These bright colors are going to give us that really nice, bold border here at the bottom of our card. So I'm going to do the same thing with every ink pad. I'm going to flip it over. The bottoms are flexible, so I'm going to squeeze that. And that's going to place ink in the well of the lid. You don't want to put your aqua painter right inside your ink pad. This is water, and obviously this is dye-based. You're going to see that it's going to actually soak up the ink into the bristles, and it's going to leave you like a lighter spot of ink on your pad. So I like creating that well for color here. So So I've got my aqua painter, and this is good and dry, and I'm going to run my aqua painter right over my flower, and I am not even going to be careful about where the color is, and I'm just going to smush it in. And literally, I don't even care about whether it's inside the lines or not. The other great thing about watercolor paper is you can make this as dark or as light as you want, and the paper is very resilient to the water, unlike the Whisper White cardstock or the Very Vanilla. Isn't that pretty? I'm going to close this up. I'm done with this one. I'm going to hold this over my Stampin' Scrub. It's actually off camera, and I'm going to squeeze the tap water that's here down through the bristles to rinse that out. Really, really important that you don't carry a color from one end to the other. You don't want to mix them up and get them muddy. So I've got it just squeezed out, and then I always like to test it here on my grid paper to make sure it's clean, and it is. So same thing, Melon Mambo. Got my little well of color there, and I'm going to get this flower wet as well. And I'm not even going to avoid the stem. I really don't think I am. I think I'm just going to color the whole thing in. The great thing about this card is that you can make a bunch of these in no time at all. And in assembly line fashion, you can guarantee they're all going to look different and really pretty. So again, over my scrub, I'm giving this a good squeeze so water's going through my bristles. I'm giving it a pinch, and then I'm testing it. Yep, it's good and clean. Here's that color I said I was going to love to hate, but I love it. Lemon Lime Twist. When I first saw it, I was like, ew, that's just so not a me color. But it looks fabulous with everything. So I'm going to wet my paper one more time. Again, not being careful to stay inside the lines. And here's my color, and I'm swishing it on. And again, not even being careful. This is a great project even for the kids, because you know what? They can't mess this up. They just simply cannot mess this up. And again, you can go back over it and make it as dark or as light as you want. Cleaning the bristles one more time, right off camera. Sorry, there's only so much room in the lens. And I'm going to squeeze that and then test it. Looks good. And then my last color here is Tangerine Tango. I'm going to put some ink in that lid. And I'm going to work right off here to the side. And again, getting my surface wet with my aqua painter, and I'm coming in with my ink, and I'm just swishing that in. I mean, talk about simple. The first time I designed this, I must have made 15 cards in like record timing. So I did all the turquoises, then I did all the mambos, all the lemon limes. I banged out a bunch of cards in like less than a half an hour. So simple. All right, so I'm going to close this up, and then one last time, really important, never put your aqua painter away dirty. So I'm squeezing that off camera, and giving that a little pinch, and yep, it's clean. I like to pinch those bristles before I recap it, just to make sure that they are nice and contained. You don't want any stray bristles coming out of the bottom. And then I'm going to give this just a second or so to dry before we go ahead and add the adhesive to layer it. If you have the heat tool, you can go ahead and give this a good swipe with the heat tool, and that will just speed up your drying process, okay? So I'm going to add some adhesive to the back. This is my snail adhesive, and I'm going to be a bit more generous than normal because watercolor paper can warp from the use of the water, and I want to make sure that I don't have any curling. And then here was our white card base. Of course, you can use dimensionals if you'd like. That'll give you a little extra oomph here on your card. And I'm just looking for that nice framed border. I like to rub from the back in case I have ink on my fingers. Look, and I always do. I don't want that on the front of my card. And there we go. Simple, simple, simple. And you can make lots of these in no time. So here's the one we did together. Here's the one I created before you joined me. Remember to head over to my blog for all the cutting dimensions, and the pictures and the supplies are all listed there. And make sure you check out my online classes tab while you're there. Lots of fun ways for you to stamp with me from home. Thanks for joining me, everyone. I look forward to seeing you next time. Have a great day.